We just received a massive Eagles trade update as a deal with Jermaine Johnson could be incoming following this slate of Week 7 games. And we'll break down all of this and more here on another edition of Eagles Digest, where we dive into everything surrounding the Eagles trade rumors. What's going on, guys? Alex Brooks back here on Eagles Digest to give you guys everything surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles just coming off of an impressive win against the Minnesota Vikings to improve to 5-2 on the season. So the sky is not falling right now in Philadelphia, but we have to get better on the defensive side of the ball. And we just received some massive news surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles. And before we get into all of that, if you guys are a part of the 97% who aren't subscribed to these videos, you guys better hit that subscribe button. Comment down below. Let us know who you want to see in Midnight Green after the trade deadline. We'll have everything surrounding the trade deadline here on Eagles Digest. Give you guys multiple pieces of content so you guys are updated on everything surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles. But getting right into this video, as Jermaine Johnson, the defensive end for the New York Jets, has been circled around in Eagles trade rumors, and it was officially reported today that Jermaine Johnson is going to be available via trade from the New York Jets. And I think that what's something that's very interesting is that the Jets are 0-7 on this season in 2025. They have not looked good on the offensive side of the ball. We said that Justin Fields was benched, and the Eagles are looking to poach some talent from the New York Jets. And the number one guy that I think a lot of Eagles fans, including myself, that are circling is Jermaine Johnson. We're hearing about, guys from Miami because Vic Fangio had a season with the Miami Dolphins. I think a lot of the Miami Dolphins defensive players are not what the Eagles are looking for, especially knowing that Vic Fangio coached that team and they weren't really responsive to his coaching. So they probably don't want to bring in someone who doesn't have the success under Vic Fangio. But definitely Jermaine Johnson is a very intriguing target for the Eagles. And this was reported in regards to Section 215 from Ernesto Cova, saying the Jets are now thinking about the number one pick in the 2026 NFL draft and could be hungry to add more picks, opening the door for the Eagles to make an offer. Johnson has only logged 1 sack in 3 games this season, but he posted career bests in tackles at 55 and sacks 7.5, pass defense 7, interceptions 1, and forced fumbles just 2 years ago. And just looking more into his stats on this season and in his career, he missed a couple games with the New York Jets with an injury, but just looking at what he was been able to provide this season, he got a sack against the Denver Broncos, and then also just getting a little bit better with the assistant tackles and the combined tackle. So when you're looking at it from a stat perspective, you're probably thinking, "Oh, that's not a lot, Alex. What are you talking about here?" Well, you got to look at what the potential is for Jermaine Johnson. When he is on the field, especially in that 2023 season, he was a monster. He had 7.5 sacks, an interception that led over to a touchdown. He had 19 assist tackles and 36 combined tackles in 2023. And then when it was in 2022, he had 18 combined tackles, 2.5 sacks. When you're looking at 2024, he only had 4 combined tackles because he only played 2 games on the season. And then in this year, it has been a little bit of an injury-riddled season for Jermaine Johnson, but he has come back. He has looked better against the Panthers this week. He has looked like he is fresh and ready to go, and that's what the Eagles are looking for out of their defensive ends. And, it couldn't get worse than what the Eagles defense is looking at right now. The sack rate is 4.3%. That's 29th in the NFL. Sacks are at 11. That is tied for 26th in the NFL. And the Eagles have the most capital in the 2026 draft, and they're looking to add pieces along the edge rushers. You got Brandon Graham that just announced that he is coming out of retirement and joining this Eagles team. I definitely love the idea of having Brandon Graham in this Eagles locker room. Don't know how much he is going to produce, especially just being in the middle, going into the middle of the season, but he's joining at a time where it's kind of perfect because the Eagles are just going to have the Giants and then they're going to have a bye week. Not saying I'm overlooking the Giants, but just saying that you have a lot of time for the Eagles to just get used to the playbook again and just get ready for game shape when you go into your gauntlet with the Packers, Lions, and Cowboys back to back to back. So, but going back to the Jermaine Johnson conversation, I definitely think that there is something to this because with the Jets right now, they're looking to sell off guys, and I think the Eagles are just in prime position to do that. I definitely think that with having Joe Douglas back in the Eagles locker room or in the Eagles personnel staff with Howie Roseman, that definitely provides an advantage for the Eagles to negotiate and have that relationship with the Jets. And this was interesting to look for from Jeffrey Knox at the Eagles Wire. He brought this up saying, this one is interesting for obvious reasons. Joe Douglas drafted Jermaine Johnson while with the New York Jets, but he has returned to the Eagles as a senior personnel director. The Jets aren't winning and may begin stocking picks for the future. The potential asking price for Johnson is uncertain, but he is in his contract year with his fifth-year option already having been exercised. He will be paid $13.4 million next season and is eligible for free agency in 2027. So this is not going to be a rental for Jermaine Johnson. This is going to be something where you're getting a guy for the rest of this year and his fifth year's option is already exercised. So you'll have him for another year. So that might mean that the Eagles will have to give up a fourth and possibly a sixth rounder to get this deal done. It may end up being a third round pick, but I definitely think with all the injuries and everything that's surrounding there, I definitely think a fourth round pick is going to be enough for the Eagles to get Jermaine Johnson. Let me know what you guys think regarding Jermaine Johnson. I know the stats don't really show it, especially in this year, but I think the potential of him being on this line and learning the defensive scheme in Vic Fangio's scheme with the 3-4 defense can definitely help out this Eagles team, and it can get better just looking at the sack numbers. Moro Joma has 3 sacks, Jordan Davis 2, Zach Bond 2, Zadarius Smith, who retired last week, 1.5 sacks, and Joshua Uche got a sack against the Minnesota Vikings this past week. So looking at all of these guys, Joshua Uche is the only edge rusher who has a sack that is on this team right now. And that is something that needs to be changed. We looked at the sack rate. It is in the it's in the high 20s in the NFL. You're going to have to switch that if you are going to be a championship contender. It's just point blank period. You need to change that. And I think that Howie Roseman understands that. He wants to get a guy in here that can make an instant impact. And when you're looking at, just everything that was surrounding the Eagles defense during the Vikings game, this was something that was very interesting to look at and just a real promise for this Eagles defense. The Eagles had 5 stops in the red zone. No doubt Vic Fangio will harp on some X plays allowed, but in the second quarter, the Eagles held Minnesota to a field goal after the Vikings had 3 plays with 1 yard to gain for the first down inside the 10-yard line. And just looking at all of this, Moro Ojoma came up with that big sack against Carson Wentz early in the fourth quarter. You also saw that Jalen Carter got home against Carson Wentz that led to that pick 6 by Jalix Hunt. So this Eagles defense is finding a little bit more of their identity, and I think the big thing is that they were bending but not breaking against the Minnesota Vikings, leaving them to the field goal. And I think that you look at the plays that were thrown to Justin Jefferson and to Jordan Addison. I think one of the things that the Eagles are trying to preach is that they want to get home to the quarterback. And the way you do that is getting very good edge rushers, very good guys off of the edge. And the edge rush group right now doesn't have an identity. They don't have a leader. They just got Brandon Graham back, but they're looking for more bodies there that can go and attack the quarterback and just have that dog mentality that Nick Sirianni preaches. So it's definitely something that Jermaine Johnson can come in here. He can produce. He has the potential. He will have more of a better scheme with Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator, championship guy, been in the league for decades, knows how to make the most out of a player, has done it with Zach Bond, has done it with Josh Sweat last year, just knows how to get the best out of each guy. And I definitely think with this defense looking much better this week and just kind of playing that bend, don't break type of defense, knowing that they can get a little bit more back to that 2022 defense where you have those guys like Brandon Graham, like another edge rusher like Jermaine Johnson can come in here and put up sack numbers on a championship level team, and the Eagles can ride their wave with their defense again in 2025. But that's going to do it for another edition of Eagles Digest. Appreciate all the support you guys are giving us. Remember to subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified of all of the videos on this channel. Comment down below. Let me know what you think regarding these Eagles defensive players. Definitely think that there's going to be a lot of more breaking news surrounding these Eagles trade rumors, and we'll have it all here on Eagles Digest. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Let's go Birds and fly Eagles fly.